Hey guys, Stan Kwok here, one of the Kwok brothers. Now I got a couple of news for you guys as far as what's happening in the mortgage industry. So if you're a homeowner or a landlord, best pay attention to what's happening right now, and I'll explain exactly what you need to know. Okay guys, so I got two main news for you guys. A little update from what I last talked about what's happening with the mortgage forbearance and mortgage foreclosure. So here it is. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is what FHFA is doing, which is Federal Housing Finance Agency. They're kind of like the agency that makes sure that the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they're doing the right thing, and there's proper regulation that is being installed when it comes to any kind of financing backed by the federal government. Now, FHFA is now aligning themselves with CFPB when it comes to the foreclosure and mortgage forbearance proposals that CFPB recently announced. Now, the last couple of videos I did, April 2nd or April 3rd, I believe, CFPB came out and said, hey, listen, we're anticipating a wave of possible foreclosures. There's about 1.7 million homeowners that are still on forbearance. Well, we don't want any of those individuals or homeowners facing foreclosures because the banks and mortgage companies were not prepared to deal with those types of homeowners. So CFPB came out earlier this month and said, hey, we propose these types of changes. We want mortgage companies to allow modification of up to 40-year amortization, no foreclosures until 2022, allow more time and more instructions to the homeowners. Those are some of the changes that CFPB came out and said, hey, we want all mortgage companies to do that. To prevent any homeowners from going through an unnecessary foreclosure. We don't want a wave of that. So FHFA, another agency in the government, came out and said, you know what? We'll align with that idea, CFPB. We like that idea. We'll follow suit. So here's what that ultimately means. By FHFA aligning themselves with what CFPB is proposing, that ultimately means that more and more mortgages, FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, USDA loans, may have those changes implemented that CFPB has aligned. Now, if you want the details as far as what changes are being proposed, I suggest watching the video that I released earlier this month about what CFPB is proposing. But a lot of good and bad things. I was a little frightened about the whole 40-year amortization idea, but FHFA is aligning themselves now with CFPB. Simply means that more of you guys' mortgages now may qualify for extra protection and some more changes as far as exiting out of mortgage forbearance. So if you are in a mortgage forbearance program right now, let's say it's set to expire in September, most likely the chance of you getting those better options are going to be available to you now because of the fact that FHFA is now aligning themselves with CFPB. So all in all to say, bottom line is that more and more homeowners may now qualify for better exit strategies or better exit options when leaving the mortgage forbearance program, which again could be a good thing. But the other school of thought that I have is that this is simply kicking the can down the road, and it may prolong and extend what would have been a foreclosure wave or a possible recession to another date. But it might actually get more severe and might be worse than we thought. So that's kind of like my last thought in that news, and I'll keep you guys updated as far as what's happening with mortgage forbearance and mortgage foreclosure programs. Okay, so before we change gears a little bit, you guys know the drill. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit like and share this video with any individuals that are going through a mortgage forbearance right now. We want to help more people when it comes to that. So the next thing I want to talk about, the other news, is that CFPB, again, CFPB being kind of the center stage and the main character of this. Now, the news is that the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is giving renters, so tenants, extra rights to sue debt collectors and attorneys over evictions. Now, here's what's happening right now. The CFPB issued a rule on Monday, so this past Monday, enabling renters to sue debt collectors who fail to disclose the rights of tenants established in a recent federal eviction moratorium. So this is an article written by Neil Haggerty from National Mortgage News. And released a couple days ago. So basically, if you are a landlord who hires an attorney or a debt collection company to go and try to pursue some kind of debt collection or an eviction, well, debt collection companies and attorneys are now required to disclose to the tenants saying, hey, listen, you have rights under the Center for Disease Control Declaration and Moratorium that you have extra protection if you declare that you cannot make payments due to COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I made several videos about this moratorium that the CDC had released, basically saying that if tenants cannot pay their rent, they're facing hardship or they lost their job, or if any of their household is facing a potential homelessness, then they can make a written, signed declaration saying that, hey, I can't be evicted, I'm in trouble, therefore I need help. Now, just a reminder that the tenant can't make that declaration, but they don't have to show any proof that they are going through the hardship. But they are signing the declaration under perjury. So if it ever goes in front of the judge is going to ask the tenant to obviously provide proof and documentation to back their claims that they're struggling because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, again, coming back to this news here, is that if you are a landlord who hires an attorney or a debt collection company, that company needs to let the tenant know, hey, listen, you have rights, you can file a declaration, you can sign, basically avoiding an eviction. So both landlords and tenants watching this, I hope this kind of gives you a little bit of clarification as to what's happening. If you are a tenant, might be a good news, because if you have an attorney or a debt collection company coming after you or looking to evict you, then they must give you that disclosure and let you know that you have the option to sign the CDC's declaration. Or otherwise, if they don't disclose and try to evict you, you have the right now to sue the attorney as well as the debt collection company for not giving you that disclosure or not letting you know that there's another option. Now, of course, CFPB is urging landlords, attorneys, and debt collection companies to figure out other ways to make this right. Now, I've said this over and over again in many of our past videos. Basically, if you are a landlord, I would do everything you can to try to work with the tenant as much as possible. I mean, I'm a landlord, I'm also a tenant, so I kind of get both sides of the coin. So even for us, we waived late fees and we waived some of these late payment fees, and we allowed, if the tenant can't make payments, to either split the payment or go into a payment plan or defer it to the end of their lease period. So if you're a fellow landlord watching and hearing this right now, I would give your tenants at least some options to make it up to you, right? Payment plans or deferring the payments, whatever you can do to make it happen. And if you're a tenant watching this, work with your landlord. Be amicable. Don't be screaming and don't cause drama that's unnecessary. Work with your landlords to try to come up with a win-win solution, which ultimately we want to avoid evictions as much as possible. So that's the second news that I want to kind of highlight for all those landlords and tenants watching this, that the CFPB has instituted. So that's the second big news that was just released. So that being said, friends, I'll continue to provide you guys updates and news about mortgage forbearance, eviction moratorium, and what's happening with evictions and foreclosures. So I'll keep you guys updated. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next update.